Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Danielle Daily Show. I am your host, Danielle Watson. I am so happy to have you guys here with me today. Today I'm going to confess to you something that I think you'll find amusing and entertaining. I will have today's note to self for you. I encourage you to connect with me in any way that you possibly can, whether you watch the show live here, whether you watch the replay on my YouTube channel, whether you become part of the tribe by joining the email list, whether you follow me on Instagram or Twitter. Find me wherever you can so that wherever you happen to find yourself on social media, you're guaranteed to have something positive come out of left field and just slap you in the face and turn your whole day around. It looks like Eric is here. Thank you so much for joining me. So today we are talking about why I vowed to stop complaining. I took this vow about 10 years ago, roughly there. I am not the best with dates, but it was sometime in the mid to late 2000s that I decided, okay, I am no longer going to complain. And it wasn't for the spiritual or high-minded reason you might think. You know, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is going to make me a better person, or people are going to like me more if I stop complaining, or I think this would be good for me. It wasn't anything like that. There's actually a different reason that I took the vow to stop complaining. I'll tell you about it in just a second. Maida is here. You made it live. Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. So today we're talking about why I took the vow to stop complaining. As I said, I did it about 10 years ago. I will have today's note to self for you. And I would love to hear what you guys think about my reason for quitting complaining, for taking that vow to stop complaining, because looking back on it, I find it pretty funny, and yet I would probably make the same decision again. So about 10 years ago, I came across a book, and I know I've mentioned it on the Danielle Daily Show. It was called A Complaint-Free World, and in that book was a challenge to go 21 consecutive days without complaining. And when I read that challenge, especially if you watched me recently go through the 20 yoga practices in 30-day challenge, you kind of know how I respond to challenges, right? So I saw this challenge to go without complaining for 21 days. And I thought, I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I could do 21 consecutive days without complaining. And if I could, I wonder if I could go most of the rest of my life without complaining. I wonder if I could get really good at not complaining. So I didn't take the vow to stop complaining because I thought it would make me a better person. I actually did it as a personal challenge to myself. So I'm curious if you guys ever do things like that, where you find that there's something out there that you're not really very skilled at or that you'd like to learn to do. And instead of doing it for, really good reasons, I'm going to become a better person, you just get really curious to challenge yourself to see if it's something that you can do, to see if it's something you can accomplish, to see if it's something that you can win at. I hope I'm not the only one here who likes winning and who finds different ways to give herself that feeling of winning on a regular basis. So for me, the decision to take a vow to stop complaining came out of basically my competitive nature and my love of winning. So it was not a high-minded reason. It was literally because I like winning, and this was a way for me to do something that I could win at. And the cool thing was, at the end of the challenge, if you completed it, you got to send away for a certificate of happiness. And I swear I kept that thing, but I've been through my things and I can't seem to find it. I'm kind of hoping that someday I will just stumble across it, but I've looked for it in every place that I can think of where I might have stored something like that, and I can't find it anywhere. Maybe I need to send away to receive a different certificate of happiness, but I remember that was why I took the challenge. It was literally because I wanted to see if being complaint-free for 21 days was something I can do. And the result was fascinating. So first of all, I realized how very much I complained, and that most of what came out of my mouth was a complaint in some sort. I'm telling you, just about 10 years ago, I complained constantly. And I know that there are many of you who look at me today and say, Danielle is the most positive person I know, and she's so sweet and so wonderful and always has something nice to say. And I will tell you that has not always been the case. I trained myself to become who I am today. I worked very hard at it. I worked very hard at changing my thoughts. I worked very hard at changing my words. I worked very hard at having a different kind of perspective on myself and on the world and on things that happen in the world. And it took time. And, you know, I know I've mentioned this quote before, and I really need to look up who said it. And it says, you know, the best time to begin something was 10 years ago, and the second best time is today. And it's so interesting where I am today. I look back at all the decisions that I made 10 years ago and all the ways that I've been practicing those decisions and how they brought me to where I am today. And I'm so grateful that I made those decisions to start practicing things in a new way so that I could be where I am today. And there are decisions I'm making today that 10 years from now will impact who I am, and I just think that's so exciting. Julio's here, awesome. So Maida was able to join us live. Julio was able to join us live. We've got Eric here. This is awesome. I love that you guys are joining me live. I missed you, Julio. It is so wonderful to see you there. I'm getting thumbs ups. I love those. I love the thumbs ups and the hearts. So like I was saying, I took the vow to stop complaining, not because I wanted to become a better person or I thought it would be good for me, but because I wanted to win at a challenge that I read in a book. And so I did it, and it got me really conscious of how much I complained, like all the time. Almost everything that I said was a complaint in some form. And when I got conscious of that, you know, I had to stop. And so at first it was really difficult because that meant I couldn't talk a whole lot. That was my strategy. I could not say anything. I just had to close my mouth. I had to, you know, abide on my hand. When I wanted to respond, because I was so practiced at complaining, or when I wanted to state something, I had to just shut my mouth. I just had to shut up and be quiet because I couldn't think of anything else to say. I didn't know how to communicate in another way other than making complaints. And so it took me a while to be able to express what I wanted as a request, or to connect with other people without complaining about, you know, how awful the weather was, or to just make everyday conversation that didn't include complaining or gossip or any of the other things that the book listed as forms of complaint. Tammy Keck is here. Happy Wednesday, she says. Happy Wednesday. I'm so glad to have you here. So I got conscious of how much I was complaining, and at first I had to just not speak a whole lot because I couldn't communicate in any other way. And then slowly I started finding ways of saying what I wanted to say or responding in a different way. I started finding positive ways to communicate. And in the past 10 years, I have developed that over time. So it has evolved. My skill level at it has increased. And today in Love You, if you're not part of Love University, I highly recommend that you join me. It is completely free to get in for a little while longer. I will leave the link in the comments. But today we're talking about the 4 stages of mastery. That's our today's lesson at Love University. If you're not there already, please come join me. It's free, but we're talking about the 4 stages of mastery you move through to develop any skill or reach any goal or make any change. So I went through the 4 stages of mastery to become somebody who rarely complains. Like, I have to be really without sleep or food to just start communicating a complaint, because I have worked through those stages so that I am at a level of mastery that not complaining is fairly easy. It's unconscious. I don't have to work hard at it because I have developed other communication skills. Eric says, sorry, I'm bouncing in and out. Apparently I'm expected to do some work to get paid. Yeah, I think that's probably the case for many of you. Don't worry, if you bounce in and out, it's okay. I love it. Even if you just join me to say hello, I so appreciate you guys being here at all. I know that this time is not the best time, but this is the time that I know I can be here every day. So I sincerely appreciate you, taking your 3 o'clock afternoon break to kind of have a snack and watch a show. Or if you're on the West Coast, this is your lunch break. So this is actually a perfect time to tune into the show. So as I was saying, I decided I wasn't going to complain anymore. At first it was very difficult. And then over time, it became easier, but it didn't happen overnight. It definitely was not something that I instantly just became this other person. And for a long time, even though I wouldn't verbalize complaints, they were going off in my mind, right? How many things do we think that we never actually say? It took a while before not complaining, not only did it not come out of my mouth, but I didn't even think that way anymore. And it just took me practicing and moving through the stages of mastery to become someone who no longer complains very often. And I'm not going to say it never happens, because I'm sure it does. And I don't know about you, but there are certain people who are part of my life. If I end up spending time with them, I sort of end up reverting to my old self. Do you guys ever notice that too? Like certain people just have a way of influencing you to make you, not make you, but you find yourself behaving in a way that maybe you used to behave that you no longer do in your normal life anymore, but there's just something about that person from your past life that brings out a certain side of you. So I definitely notice there are certain people that if I get around them, they're very critical and sarcastic, and that will start coming out in me too. And when I see and feel myself doing that, I remind myself, this is not who I am anymore. This is not how I want to be. This is not how I want to think. And I go right back to practicing what it is I know that I want to think and do and say and how I want to behave. So let me give you today's note to self. Are you ready to write it down? I'm curious, do you guys ever undertake challenges just to see if you can do them? Am I the only one who makes herself do stuff just because she loves the feeling of winning? Or do you always make decisions to change yourself because you think it'll make you a better person and more evolved? That is not why I made that change. I'm sort of embarrassed to say. Okay, so here is today's note to self. It says, "Dear self, a request will always be resolved more quickly than a complaint. Love me." Let me read that again, and then I'll tell you why I wrote it. Dear self, a request will always be resolved more quickly than a complaint. So something I've learned since I decided to stop complaining, since I vowed to stop complaining, was that if I simply make a request of somebody, they are much more interested in resolving my issue than if I simply complain about it. A complaint is actually not a request for action, and a request contains a statement of need and a request for action. So developing our ability to express ourselves without complaint and instead make requests actually leads to issues being resolved more quickly. And I know that there are so many things going on in our world right now that we feel like we want to rage against and we want to complain about. And I just want to encourage you with all of my heart to think about ways that you can make requests instead of lodging complaints, because those requests will be resolved so much more quickly than a complaint, okay? So I want you guys to really think about how you can do that. I'm thinking about how I can do that. I feel like this is such an important time for us to talk about this. Like I said, the 4 stages of mastery, the 4 steps that you need to go through to master any new skill, to change any behavior, to reach any goal. I have written about them. There's a lesson and an assignment for you already in Love You. I put it in there later today. It's free to get into Love You right now. So I really hope you'll take me up on that. I will also be sending an email out to the tribe that will have the first stage of mastery and the 4th really well explained, so that you can start practicing using these steps to help you gain momentum and help you achieve what it is you want to achieve. So let's see. Eric says, "Can I complain once? It's going to drop back to 30 degrees tomorrow. My parents are heading to Palm Springs for 3 weeks. Unfair." It is unfair, but I wonder if there is a request in there somewhere. Eric says, complaining is like quicksand. It gets you nowhere fast. You are exactly right. I feel like I've heard that one before. I wonder if that's a famous quote. Complaining is a lot like quicksand. It gets you nowhere fast. I also love the quote that says, worry is like a rocking chair. It's basically the same thing. It gets you nowhere fast, or you're moving, something about, you're moving around a lot, but you're not actually going anywhere. Tammy Keck says, request to Mother Nature. Yes, maybe Eric needs to go outside and do the rain dance or the sun dance. So let me read you the note to self one more time. Again, remember, connect with me through all the different social media channels. I promise that you will always find something inspiring, positive, uplifting, or powerful when you come across Danielle Daily or Danielle Daily TV. Get in on the tribe. I will leave the link so that you can get signed up for that, so you can receive information in your email. I will leave the link so that you can get signed up for Love You for free right now. I'd love to have you there. We have great lessons and a whole series of videos that you can go through. There's so much great content there, and it's only going to be added to. All right, one last time, the note to self. It says, Dear Self, a request will always be resolved more quickly than a complaint. Love me. So put that into action in your life. Until tomorrow, have a wonderful day. Enjoy this beautiful weather if you live in Northern Virginia before it gets cold tomorrow. I know it's only here that we have a 30 to 40 degree temperature drop in a matter of 24 hours. Eric says, this is a great topic. Thank you. I think so too. I think that, we all need to think about who we want to be and how we want to behave in the world. And I want to give you guys the steps to practicing doing that, because practicing is really how we grow our ability to be masterful at anything. Eric says, complainers bring down everyone else around them via their energy. You are so right. Facebook is congratulating me on being a conversation starter. Awesome. Thank you so much. Really, I'm not the conversation starter. You guys are. You guys are the ones making the comments. I so appreciate it. I will be back here again tomorrow at 3:00 p.m. Eastern, 12 a.m. Pacific. Please join me, even if you can only pop in for a moment. I know many of you are popping in from work to kind of get your midday punch of positivity, maybe where you're working isn't the most positive environment, but you can always come here for a boost of positivity. I love providing that for you guys. So join me when you can, and if you can't, be sure to watch the replay. Share this with your friends. That's how this show grows, is when you guys share this with your friends. You guys are the ones who reach out into places that I can't go. So thank you for those of you who do that. I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate when you share the show with your friends. All right, I love you guys. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Mwah. Bye.